Thank you all so much for joining us on this panel today. We look forward to hearing from you all and learning from you all. You guys are all doing amazing things in your industries. And I guess the first question I have for you is, why is representation of girls in sports important?
I mean, to be honest with you, I was raised with a very strong mother, and she was and still is my role model. So for me, it's very important to have equality and equal voices in my organisation, and anything I do, be it content creation to running the actual business. It's really important to have voices from different, obviously different ages and obviously different genders, because I don't know it all, and there'll be some things that I can always learn. So it's like integral for any company to have, voices of young women, in your organisation.
So for me, the representation is so important because it can break down stereotypes. As a young female, having athletes in general just to look up to is so important, because young people, we're like sponges. We soak everything in. If we don't have females to look up to, how are we going to achieve things? And so for me, growing up, I always used to think whatever my brother can do, I can do better kind of mentality. If he can play rugby, I can play rugby. He powerlifts, I powerlift. He's going to run a marathon, I'm going to do it in a quicker time. And that's just kind of how I grew up. I was competitive. But having female athletes on top of that to inspire and help us can really break down those stereotypes of just being like, oh, you're another female in sport. No, you're an awesome person in sport. So for me, that's why it's so important.
I definitely agree with everything that's been said. One thing that I always remember is, if you can see it, you can be it. So I think that's really important to always remember, and that's why in the role that I have, I try and inspire people to follow behind me and enter into the motorsport sector. But the reason why I think it's really important to have female representation, one, is because we do bring a different perspective. Not only females, but also people from diverse backgrounds bring a different perspective within the room. Having people that all have been brought up the same and all have the same mindset, you're not going to unravel a problem in the same way as if you had a diverse set of people around you.
I love that. Thank you so much. My next question would be, what is your advice to girls and women who want to break into sports but don't know where to start?
My advice would be just research and know that this is something that you're passionate about. The sports industry, well, I can speak for the motorsport industry, it's brutal, it's hard. And if it's not something that you're extremely passionate about, you're going to have a really tough time in there. So you need to know that this is something that you want to live and breathe. When I was in Formula One, my weeks were something from 70 to 90 hours a week, depending on where I was in the world. And if you're there and you don't feel like you want to be there, it's going to be a really, really tough time for you. So you really need to understand who you are as a person, as an individual. That's the most important thing. And you have to believe in yourself, because the sports industry is also a very difficult place for a woman. So if you don't have any belief or confidence in yourself, it's going to be really difficult for you to thrive in that environment. So once you have that down and you've asked the questions to people, LinkedIn should be your best friend. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. I respond to a lot of people on LinkedIn. It may take me a few months because I get a lot of requests, but I do try and respond to everyone that messages me on there. Instagram's a lot harder, but I know you guys are very much for Instagram and TikTok, but get a LinkedIn. It's so important to get that. And the last thing I'll say is to make sure, if you're on social media, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, make sure that they're clean. Don't be writing comments that are racist or gender biased, etc. on there. Because personally, when I'm hiring, I'm looking for those things. And there's agencies that can find this information from 20 years ago. So be really careful how you represent yourself online.
100%. I just want to echo absolutely everything that you've just said, because I think you've hit the nail on the head. The other thing that I would say as well, about a bit of advice, if you're looking to get into the sports industry in general, don't be afraid to take that leap of faith. Not everybody in this room, not everybody in general has the same level of confidence as everybody else. It takes time to build that up. I don't even think I'm there 100% of the time. I always have to rile myself up, give myself a good pep talk in the mirror sometimes. But don't be afraid to take that leap of faith. and enjoy the journey as well. Not everything is going to happen overnight. I mean, I can probably happily say for all of us sat up here, the grind is so important. You're not going to wake up the next morning and have everything landing on your plate. It's a numbers game. You're going to have to message a lot of people over and over again. Don't be afraid, as well, of rejections. They will come at you. Take it as a learning curve, constructive criticism almost. Build on that. If somebody gives you some good advice from that constructive criticism, if someone says no to you, feel it. Don't be afraid of those feelings. Yeah, feel upset, feel angry, but take it on board and build on that, because all you need is just one person to give you an opportunity, to give you that foot in the door, and then the world is your oyster. So my best advice, don't be afraid, happily take a leap of faith, and you don't know where it's going to take you.
My advice is, well, there's two things. It's preparation and dedication. You have to know your stuff. And this goes across from all genders. You have to know your stuff. If you want to work within the industry, people are going to test you, especially if you're a woman. Unfortunately, men are going to be like, well, what do you know? And you have to make sure that you know, if not more, if not as much as them, more than them. You have to make sure that you can outwork people. You have to be dogged and have determination, non-stop, like it is in the sports industry, because it's a constant thing that's moving all the time, constant information, constant stuff happening. You have to make sure that you are on top of everything. There can't be a time that's, you get your opportunity and you don't know the stuff, because then that's your opportunity gone, because there are men who, unfortunately, are looking for weaknesses, looking for the times where you can't actually do something. And, myself and Ash work together quite a lot, and I see it through Ash's eyes with some of the things that, I would just be able to skirt past, and they'll be like asking her way more questions than they'll be asking me. And another thing is again, the determination is to not take no for an answer. Verge, I started this thing 13 years ago, and obviously Pauline see me, pretty much at the start, when I had no office, when we was working on the floors and all those things, and no is, I hear no still to this day, even I'm considered quite successful every single day, but it doesn't deter me. I don't go into a sulk. I don't think, oh well, I'm not getting there because I'm black or because of something else. Or you have to be like, okay, cool. That one door closes, another one's going to open, and you keep on going. You keep on being determined, and you will get your opportunity. But again, it comes to number one: preparation. When that door opens, make sure you're ready.
Thank you. I really love that mentality. And I'd just like to give a warm welcome to Siham, who's just joined us. And I guess I'll ask you the question that we're just discussing now, which is, what advice to girls and women would you give to girls and women who want to break into the sports world but don't know where to start?
Hi guys, sorry I'm running late. My one big advice would be, there's so many schemes and things out there. So I'm a junior assistant producer at Buzz 16, alongside being a co-founder for Barakah London. I say one of the biggest advice I would say is, there's so many schemes out there. So I did one called BCOMS. It stands for Black Collective in Sport Media, and that was one of the biggest things that helped me get into where I am today. Also, as you can all, we're all ethnic minorities here, so I think a lot of the times is just not being afraid and not shying away from your voice, because your voice is so important in this industry, in such a white-dominated industry. It's so important to be you, right? I would also say, like, imposter syndrome is going to eat you up. It's regardless of like how confident you are. So it's always about just always being proud of who you are and never shying away from what makes you you. I think that's the biggest advice I'd give to everyone trying to make it in this industry, 100%.
I love that, being proud of who you are. And I just want to go back to something that Ash said earlier about sorry, I've just lost it. You mentioned something about not being afraid. You said, don't be afraid. And this reminds me of when I was in secondary school and we were doing sports and we did rugby. Our team had a female rugby team, and at first we were very hesitant to go into it. We were girls, we were like, this isn't a sport for us, and we were scared. But we didn't let that get to us. We put our fear behind us, and we were able to play rugby and go far and participate in nationals, and the outcome was so great, and this was so inspiring because the younger years looked up to us and were inspired by us, and they wanted to participate in rugby, a sport that usually girls are not introduced to in school. So that's something to take away. Don't be afraid. So my next question is for you, Andre. You're the CEO of a media organization, Verge magazine. How do you work to amplify youth and women's voices in your industry and within all the work that you do within media?
Well, I mean, last thing I forgot to say is the most important thing as well is to be nice. Actually, just be a nice person, get along with people, make friends, because it doesn't matter how qualified you are, it doesn't matter how much you work, no matter how much opportunities you get. If you are not a nice person, you will not get through those doors, and people do not want to work with you. So your network is your net worth because of who as a nicer person that you are. That's all. Right. Okay. So on the question I had, sorry, I'm always ad hocing. Sorry. Right. Okay. So for me, we started, as I said before, we started Verge 13 years ago, and it was fundamentally based off of having people from different backgrounds, having youth, having women involved. So therefore, that's pretty much been the core of Verge because of that's who I am as a person. So I need your information because I'm trying to reach your target market. I'm older than you, so therefore, why would I assume that I know more than you know? So it's really important to get the information that you need from your actual network or your team. And so how we amplify that is by having members of our team who are from that gender or generation or color, because the end of the day is that they will be able to pass off of that message or tell us how to amplify the message more than I would. So it's really by just having people on your team that you actually want to reach. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. My next question is for you, Ash. In a male-dominated field, you're often one of a few women in a room. Yet you've been working on changing that by working on your podcast, Her Huddle. Can you talk about how it feels to work in a male-dominated field and how you're changing that?
Of course. So I'd like to just start off by saying I think it's important for all of us in the room to recognise this. So for me, a lot of my biggest champions and supporters are males. I think it's really important just to state that it's important to not villainise the males in the room. Dre, for example, has always got my back. He's there for me, helping open doors, all of that and everything as well. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it is important for us all to recognise that and know, I got you. But so for me, working in a male-dominated environment is challenging. It's fun. It fuels me at times as well. But so my background, I kind of came into sport through lockdown. I think like the majority of us in the UK, I was furloughed from my day job, thought to myself, what do I actually want to do with my life? Needed like a little bit of a purpose. Wanted to get into sport. Did I want to go back to university for another 3 or 4 years and do a journalism degree? No. So I decided I'm going to go down the social media route. That in itself was a challenging experience, and I won't repeat some of the comments I got straight away from males in general through my DMs and everything, but that kind of was an immediate wake-up call to me. Now, I know most women would have shut down straight away and probably said, nope, this industry is not for me, I actually don't want to pursue this. I just said, I'm going to carry on. It fueled me, and it still does. Even last week, I had Dre supporting me from comments that were coming through, which I still get on a daily basis. And what Dre said as well, actually, knowing your stuff, I get challenged every day by males asking, do I really know my stuff? Why am I here? Thinking, could they actually take my place? But so it's challenging, but I love being somebody that maybe people can look up to. So my background with sport is American football, NFL. That's my bread and butter. At the moment, so within 2022, I think roughly it was about 41% of females working in the NFL league. So that's not just people on TV, not hosts that you see, but people working in offices kind of across all NFL departments. That in itself is fantastic. But if you look at sports media, sports broadcasting in general, I think roughly globally, and don't quote me 100% on these numbers, but it's between 10 and 20% of female representation that we're seeing. That is still so low. But for me, it's really exciting. So the Channel 5 show that I do, it comes out 10:30 a.m. every Sunday morning. We always laugh about it because it comes out straight after SpongeBob. But for kids who get to see it is really exciting. And so if I'm, when NFL UK is in town for the games, when I have little kids coming up to me who are girls, asking for a picture, just asking to say hello, for me, that is so exciting. I get so thrilled about that aspect. I love if adults come up to me, I could talk all day about their team, their sport, etc., etc. But it's when the kids come up to me as well. So not just girls, when little boys and stuff do as well. It excites me. But having that representation and being, I think, one of like a handful of women within the NFL UK community who are on TV, just knowing the importance that I'm representing kind of future generations coming up within such a growing industry like the NFL here in the UK, I think it's so important. But the challenges that you face every day are tenfold. And I'm blessed. I feel very lucky that I have a lot of thick skin just from my background, doing sport myself. And so I think without that, God knows where I'd be. Probably not sat here right now in front of you lovely ladies. But yeah, so it is challenging, but without those challenges, I don't think I would enjoy it maybe 100%. I love kind of breaking down a little barrier, jumping over another little hurdle. It's that feeling of accomplishment, but knowing that we're all doing it together. And I think I can probably say for you as well, within the motorsports industry, there are so many gatekeepers that you will meet along your sports journey. So whether you're just a sports fan trying to educate yourself a little bit more, whether you want to work in the industry, you will meet so many gatekeepers. And for me, I never want that for anybody. Male, female, boys, girls, whatever age, gender, background you are, I never want a gatekeeper to prevent somebody from pursuing their dream. And so if we can kind of challenge those people as well, then more of us will be in this industry. And I think that's so important as well.
Thank you so much. I really loved your story and I couldn't help but ask a question, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
So there's probably so many young people in the room that want to get into sports and they're going to experience different challenges. For you, you mentioned that you like the challenges, it keeps you going. Mm-hmm. What would be your one piece of advice to overcome these challenges, or people that are gatekeeping, or people that don't want to support us and them in these experiences?
God, yeah. I mean, I could probably chat to you for like a whole day on this. I think one thing that is really important is, and obviously with Girl Up, I think you will get this as well, make sure that you have a really solid network around you. You need that support. And like I said to you earlier as well, if something upsets you, if you feel a bit disheartened, about a response, or maybe there's a comment and stuff as well, you will 100% get that in the sports industry. Don't let that get to you. 100% feel it, but make sure that you've got a good network, whether it's your family, just a group of friends, or people that you work with. Vent to them. Like, let them know that you're frustrated, angry, ask them for a bit of advice. Like for me, having people that I can lean on, or just, message because I'm frustrated before my morning coffee and I haven't even started the day and there's 20 comments about this, that and whatever. It's so important, I think, to have that good, solid network around you. It can just be two people. It can be just one person, or it can be, your whole classmates can be 50-odd people. I don't care. But I think having that strong, solid support network around you is so important so that you don't feel alone or left out. And they are there for you. There are communities. All you have to do is just go online, say hello. people like us, we are here. We will welcome you with open arms, and you won't encounter those gatekeepers. And if you do, just let people know as well, because, you know, there's going to be advice from someone out there that can offer you help and stuff as well. And if it's, if you ask a question and maybe we don't 100% know the answer, we can find that out for you as well. So, just keep asking, keep building that strong support network around you. And yeah, I don't see any reason why you can't achieve what you want to.
Thank you so much, Ash. I'm going to go over to Siham now. You're the co-founder of Barakah, and you've been able to create safe spaces and accessible spaces for girls to play football. How has it been starting and running an organization in a sport like football, a sport that you love so much?
I think I can talk about Barakah for ages. So Barakah London, for those that don't know, is a space where Muslim and women of all faiths can come down and play football casually for free. I think starting Barakah, I think everybody goes on about like, what's your purpose in life and all of that. I think me and my sister found it, like it's giving back to our community, and we're able to be able to do that through Barakah is amazing. Honestly, like the feeling I get after every session is literally unmatched. It's actually a group of girls that have not known each other coming down and playing football. It's amazing, and especially in a sport that I love, and I've been a football fan for all my life. So to be able to give a space to people that look like me, and a space that I didn't have growing up, it's amazing. I think a lot of the times growing up playing football, when I was younger, it's always that worry about, I'm a Muslim girl, like I can't wear shorts like the other girls in the team. So it's always little bits like that made me feel ostracized. And to be able to create a space where girls can come down, feel comfortable, play football, it's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. So Stephanie, in your work with Mission 44, you're able to teach young people about the sport of racing and the work of engineers. What's the most important when speaking with young women about racing and sports in general?
So for me, it's, first, big up to Mission 44. I know we've got one of our Youth Advisory Board members here. So the organisation is all about empowering young people from underserved backgrounds through 3 pillars: education, empowerment and employment. So there's various things. For example, recently we gave some scholarships to the Royal Academy of Engineering for master students to go and study engineering degrees and hopefully get a job within the motorsport sector, following our founder, Sir Lewis Hamilton. And he's been a key person in my life and has supported me through my entire journey in the motorsport sector. So that's the most important thing. But what I would say is, if I'm giving any advice, the thing that I would say is don't be put off by looking at the motorsport sector. If it's something that you're passionate about and you want to enter, just ask the right questions. Ask the questions to females that are within the sector so that they can tell you about their experiences. I had the best years of my life within the motorsport sector. I've got to travel to places in the world that I don't think I would ever get to go to on my own, and you get to experience new things. So it's a hard job, but you have a lot of fun at the same time. So I think really understanding what you're entering yourself into and exposing yourselves to organizations like the Formula One teams, the teams in Extreme E, karting circuits in London is so important. If you're interested in motorsports, go and volunteer. One weekend a month or one weekend every few months is not a lot of time for you if you spend a few hours at a karting circuit. But that makes such a difference when you're applying to get into that motorsport sector. It shows that you're super passionate. It shows that you've got the time you've got the ability to give up your time and sacrifice your time for something that you're passionate about. It's something that I look for personally when I'm hiring for. And when you've got people that have all got the same grades, haven't done extracurricular, that is going to set you apart from the counterparts that are applying for. When I applied for my role with Petronas, I went up against 7,300 people for that role, and only one person could get that role. So you can imagine the process that I went through and how I didn't believe in myself. And that's the moment where I truly realized that if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. And you're not going to get anywhere in life if you don't believe in yourself. And having that support network is so important. At that time, for me, it was my parents. My parents convinced me. Petronas's talent search was global. As soon as I saw the word global, I closed the page. And that was a job that I was dreaming for so long. But that word deterred me. And then I applied, I got through. Then one of the stages was to create a 1-minute video answering questions from the team. I said, I'm not doing that. It's going on YouTube, people are going to watch it, I'm going to get hate comments, people have to vote, I'm not that popular. What's the point? I'm crossing myself off already. My dad was like, you're going to get up and you're going to do that. So I got up and I did that. And one thing I learned in that process is WeTransfer is not your friend when you've got a deadline. I tried to submit my video 2 hours before the deadline, and WeTransfer gave me 14 hours for my upload. So yeah, it was an experience. It's like calling Malaysia in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know what to do. No one was answering my calls. But I still submitted. I submitted late, and they still took me. I had taken screenshots that, look, it's saying 14 hours, the time is this, I have done the video, etc. And they took my video and put me through. But the most important part of that story is I then ended up in Malaysia. 5 of us were flown out to Malaysia. I was the only female. And when I landed, my confidence went from here all the way down to the ground. And I called my parents daily. I was like, okay, first interview done. I came out and I felt, okay. The guys came out like, oh my goodness, yes, I've done so amazing. I answered every question. I was like, okay, they asked me 2 questions after my presentation. I didn't answer many questions. Maybe they weren't interested, and then you start doubting yourself. But you still got many days to go ahead of you. And the final interview was a treasure hunt. I had to find the CEO. Following clues, yeah, imagine. In the middle of Kuala Lumpur, I've got no Wi-Fi, and I'm running on a train in the wrong direction, get in the right direction, find the hotel. You have 45 minutes. If you don't find him, you're not having your interview. I find him in 35 minutes. The other 2 candidates are Malaysian, I might have you know, so they know where they're going. I get there in 35 minutes, and I have my interview. My interview lasted 15 minutes. And he literally said to me, you've topped the leaderboards at every single stage, from all the psychometric tests to now. So I know why you deserve this job. Tell me why I can't hire you. Have you ever prepared yourself for a question like that? So you really need to do that interview practice and think of answers for questions that you're never going to expect. I tried to do a positive spin on that question, and it just didn't work. He stopped me mid-sentence and was like, I want to know why I shouldn't hire you, because in theory, you've got the job. So it was really, really tough. But when I sat down after that interview, I was like, oh, I'm not sure it went well. I was the first one. One of the guys came, 45 minutes they took, and he was like, oh, yes. I was like, I called my mum, went to the toilet. I was like, Mum, I haven't got it. I have not got this job. Like, one of the guys has come out, like, dancing. He spent 45 minutes with the CEO. She was like, just have faith and believe in yourself. And sure enough, before I flew home the day after, they called me up to the office and offered me the job. So you really need to have that faith.
That's such an inspiring story. My takeaway from that is to have faith and believe in yourself, and you'll get where you need to go. I love that. Thank you. My next question is for everyone. Why is building a community in sports important for young girls and women, especially for girls of colour and others who have faced extra barriers of inclusion?
I can start. I think it's super important because no one else understands the journey that you're going through. So being supported by people that are experiencing the same things as you. Yes, okay, a white female will experience different barriers to a black female or an Asian female, etc. But you're all following along a similar path and will face similar barriers. So supporting each other through that is so important. I never felt so isolated when I was in F1. First year was great, but then COVID hit. And all the women in my team were in media, comms. There weren't very many in engineering. There were 3 of us. So it went from having a team of like 30 women traveling to 3. And the guys aren't always very receptive to you being there. So you have to make yourself, you have to, yeah, it's really tough. You have to make people believe in you. Things you say aren't always recognized the first time you say it. and you'll realize that your male counterpart has heard what you said, repeats it, and it's recognized straight away. So I think it was a really tough period for me, and I realized how by having that community with women and people of color as well within the motorsport sector, it's so important. So recently we started Driven by Us, which is for diverse people within the motorsport sector to combine ideas and just to support each other on the different challenges that you face, because it's so important to allow you to feel like you belong in that space and that you can stay. It's all about the job retention. We don't retain these jobs for a long period of time. Why is that? Because you don't have that support from your organizations and from your peers. So that's why I think it's so important.
Thank you. Can I just ask you a question? Have you seen a growth in women and people of colour within the motorsports industry?
100%. I mean, it's slow. It's not going to change overnight. Lewis is very outspoken about it, diversity and women within his team especially. So when I started up X44, when he started up X44 and I started leading it, the main aim for us is to have a diverse team. The majority of my team are from diverse backgrounds or are female. I've got a female engineer, junior engineer on my team. She's absolutely amazing and has exceeded all of my expectations. I had a male in that role before, and he was just meeting the bar, but Lily is going above and beyond. And this is what I'm saying in terms of having a different perspective in the room. And you know as a female that you need to work 10 times harder to prove yourself. So yeah, I think the change is coming. A good thing about Extreme E especially is that we've got a Racing for All program. So you either have to take a woman or someone from a diverse background that has little to no experience in motorsport and you're giving them that foot in the door. And every single team has to have a male and female driver. So we're showcasing what the females can do within this car against the males. And in some races, the females are quicker than the males. You've got 9-time world rally champion Seb Lowe being beaten by rookie females. So it's really amazing what the motorsport sector is starting to do, but I think we still have a long way to go.
Thank you.
I would say, so in my role in the sports media industry, I would say having community is so important. It's everybody knows like it's a white male-dominated industry, right? So having that community or like people that you can lean on is going to be so vital. You're going to go through struggles that they won't relate to, or no one with like a white male won't relate to the struggles I go through as a black Muslim woman. So having that community around you that you can lean on is going to be so important, especially and with Barakah, having that community of girls that can come together is so important as well, because as you may know, like the women's football is very, very, very like they lack so much. Like there's no, what's the words? There's like no representation in that industry at all. You look at a lot of the teams in the WSL. There's hardly any ethnic minorities in that team. So. And especially with the picture that recently came out with the Arsenal women's team, if you look at that picture, there was no black or ethnic minorities in that team at all. So having a community around you, especially with Barakah, is so important, because young girls that want to get into the world of football can always lean on each other and say, okay, we'll be able to push them on and be that voice for them. So yeah, I would say it's the most important thing in everything, I think.
Thank you so much. And same question for you, Ash.
Fab. So for me, and I'll use the NFL as an example, but do bear in mind that everything is always interchangeable. But I think within American football, I'll do it in two folds, actually. So from like a TV and host perspective, and then for a player's perspective as well, which I think is just as important. So within like the TV hosting side of things, having that community in itself is just at the beginning of its journey. So females as a whole, thanks to Taylor Swift, big up, we're about 49% of female fans currently at the moment. But so Her Huddle, which is a show that I do with Sky Sports and created by my good friend Annie Weldon, it is the only female-led NFL show here in the UK. Now, there are an abundance of podcasts out there made up by just fans of the show. Anybody can do it. It is really simple. But being a part of the one televised show that goes out on air here in the UK, that in itself is such a big barrier to break down and also be a part of. But looking at the community side from a female's perspective, this year was the first year that NFL flag football created its first youth girls league. So they got a bunch of, I think it was about maybe 5 or 6 schools in and around London. They got 2 NFL teams to come over, big superstar players got involved, got to teach the kids. And it was amazing to be in a room filled with girls from every race, every background, every ethnicity that you can think of. You know, it didn't matter what kind of music you listened to, what kind of food you ate. Everybody was just there because sport as a whole, not just NFL, it's inclusive. Everybody was just there because they were excited. And I think to have that for girls of all age, I don't really care what age you are, but for the young girls, was so inspiring to see. But it is really at the beginning of its journey. There is so much more that American football, NFL can do as a whole to help diversity, through to girls playing flag football, which is now going to be in the Olympics, which is amazing. I'm so excited. But some of these girls, they might want to be on TV hosting a show one day, and to be able to see people from their own background, their own ethnicity and stuff, to have people to look up to, I think, is so important. So we've got such a long way to go. But building that community to start off with, I think, is just viable for the younger generations.
I don't know how I'm supposed to top all this stuff. Obviously I can't speak to what it's like to be a woman. I'm raising 2. And so what I trying to teach them is, again, which I'm going to reiterate to you guys, your network is everything. You building your own network actually gets you where you need to go. You know, the fact that, you know, and excuse me for ad-libbing here, but the fact that I could get an opportunity where I had to be prepared for from the United Nations Foundation, where Girl Up would say, hey, we would like you to work with us on something, and I can call up someone that I know in a powerful position to say, hey, can we have lunch together? That person will give me the time of day because I'm nice, because I produce the goods when it counts. So we have, I in particular, have, you know, made a company from nothing, you know, and again, Pauline would see it, but it's based off of the network of people that I've been able to meet along the way, producing the goods when I get those opportunities. So we've gone from being in a basement of a Mexican restaurant, which is the best days. Greatest days ever. It was like the Social Network movie where you had laptops on the floors, everything. It was great. But now I've got an office on the 24th floor of the Shard. Now, I'm not saying that to show off in any formal way, but I'm trying to show you that anything is possible. The glass ceiling is not there. Only glass ceiling is in your head, but it doesn't matter how, you know, equipped you are. You won't get those opportunities if you are not nice. So you have to be able to produce the goods when you get those opportunities. Yes, you know, if you work in media, people are going to send you stuff for you to wear. If you get trainers, wear them, take a picture, say thank you. Again, being nice. All of these things build your opportunities up, because what happens is that as you grow bigger, the other people that you've been working with, they get bigger as well. And then someone will hand you the opportunity, like what's happened to me, to go and work with McLaren. Sorry, it's not your team. Yeah. I'll still pick up Stephanie's team. But to be able to get those opportunities where someone can say, hey, this year I've worked with David Beckham, I've done some work with Lewis Hamilton, I've met pretty much everyone there is to meet. NFL, I've done everything I could do. I've gone to the Super Bowl for free. All of these things because I produce the goods when I get the opportunity. And I get those opportunities because I have a network, and I have the network because I'm nice. That's all I need to say.
Thank you all so much. So remember to network and to be nice. So that's it from our panelists today. Thank you all so much for being here and speaking to us. And I'd like everyone to give a round of applause to them.